Hello everybody and welcome back to Aviation. Today I'm showing you how to navigate the Infinite Flight app, which has been, by the way, recently updated. This is a great simulator for every type of pilots, even if you are somebody who really wants to fly realistically, or if you just want to fly around having fun in the simulator. This is the simulator for you. It's called Infinite Flight, and I'm showing you a bit of how to navigate through it. So this is the home page. You can see at the right part of the screen sort of the news panel where Infinite Flight keeps updating news about their simulator releases, YouTube tutorials, community meetups in the real world. A lot of really cool information. Like, it's not just bullshit that they will be updating all the time. It's actually interesting stuff. And I even met one of the developers, or actually the whole team, at FlySim Expo, because they said here in their community tab that they were going to be at FS Expo. So it is a great option. Then we have the leaderboards, and here you can see weekly the top people, the top pilots or top air traffic controllers by flight time, by landings, or by time, or by operations. This is really cool because you get to know who's like the person who flies the most on Infinite Flight. I'm not on this weekly leaderboard yet. So moving on, then we have the logbook. And the logbook is one of the most interesting parts of Infinite Flight, because every single flight you do, it will record. And you don't have the option to instantly replay, but after you land, you can replay the whole flight. And Infinite Flight uses replay files. So if the files are using too much storage of your device, you can click right here on the top right corner and click the share button, and by clicking share you can export the replay file and save it into a hard disk or a cloud or anything like that. But you can still have the whole logbook here of all the flights that you have done. So if you can see, as you can see, let's say the other day I did a 16-hour flight. It is right here from Singapore to Newark. It is actually the longest flight in the world, in the real world. And that replay file was using a lot of space. So I deleted the replay file, and as you can see, it says no replay file, but the flight is still here in the logbook page. And it saves the departure airport, arrival airport, the airplane type, airplane livery, duration, distance, points earned, the server I was at, the flight time, the date. It is a great logbook. And if you deleted the file, then you can import it back by using this button on the lower left corner, where you have the option to import a flight plan. A replay file. Moving on, we have the settings page. Now this is one of the other cool parts of Infinite Flight, because you have basically a setting for everything. You can configure and customize a lot of stuff. For example, your language, interface, time now, to hide or not hide the status bar, the sensitivity, landing aids, and the online section. You have the opportunity to hide yourself, your name, from other players if you're playing in multiplayer. You can use your account and set the volumes. The graphics page, it's also very, very useful. Why? Because other simulators simply feature graphics setting of low, medium, high, or even ultra high. But in Infinite Flight, you can customize all the different aspects of quality. So it's not just one single setting for quality, but rendering, then 3D object, then rendering resolution, texture quality, anti-aliasing, frame rate limit. That's something you only get in desktop simulators. You can also set the controls. You have a lot of controls for the aircraft, but also for the simulator itself, such as the cameras, the control surface. and also the internal parts of the aircraft, which would be the control surfaces and the airplane and engines. And you can assign buttons from physical controllers to the simulator, so you can connect via Bluetooth or via cable controllers and then assign functions to them or access, which can make the simulator even better. So this settings page of Infinite Flight is a great one. Other simulators they also have a settings page, but the number of things you can customize in Infinite Flight is a lot. I mean, it's like I can't count them, but I would say it's more than 100 customizable aspects of the simulator. And finally, we have the About page, which I know you're not very interested in the About page, but it is a very complete page. You have the credits for all the people. Laura Lavin, the first one, is one of the creators of Infinite Flight. Then we have even Dan Woodhams, which is a very cool guy I had the opportunity to meet in FS Expo. So if you're watching, hi Dan, how are you? We also have the privacy policy, terms of use, and options to contact Infinite Flight. But now, what you want to see, the simulator itself. So we have two ways of simulating aviation in Infinite Flight: by being a pilot or by being an air traffic controller. So we have the map here, and we can select almost any airport in the world. All of them are here, and the ones with the better scenery have a little mark on the top right corner that says 3D. That speaks pretty much for itself. But we can search for airports by tapping here in the top right corner, and then search airports and enter the ICAO code of the airport. Say we want to look at London Heathrow in England, so we just London, and then we have here London Heathrow. So we tap, and it will move very smoothly to the airport and show us the whole airport layout. Now, what is cool about Infinite Flight, that we can see each single page, each single position of the airport, what position is. So Terminal 3, gate, Terminal 2 mode, gate, runways. It is a very complete simulator. That is the idea I'm trying to share. Now, after doing this, we can select the aircraft we want to fly. Now, the amount of aircraft Infinite Flight offers is huge. Airbus aircraft, Boeing aircraft, Bombardier aircraft, Cessna, Cirrus, Scapcrafters, Daher, Embraer, Fairchild, Republic, General Dynamics, Grumman, Lockheed Martin, McDonnell Douglas, and Supermarine. It's a total of, I'd say, more than 40 aircraft. And the ones that are from old versions of Infinite Flight are marked with a legacy mark. So you can know that, for example, if you want to fly the A330-200 freighter, it'll be, as it says right there in the warning, that this aircraft is an extra included from an old version and it's not of the same quality as our newer aircraft. So you will know that you will not have a great aircraft as the other ones, but you will still have it there, so they don't remove old aircraft, which is a great option. So let's say today we want to fly the A220-300, and the liveries we have is, I mean, it's a lot of liveries. It's almost all the liveries that this real aircraft has in the world. For example, the A320, the most popular commercial aircraft, has all these liveries because it has a lot of liveries in the real world. Even from airlines from Europe, such as WoW Air, or from Portugal, such as TAP, or from Colombia in South America, Avianca, airlines in the United States, American, it's almost all of them. Let's say today we want to fly, where am I? Heathrow. So we would be flying the A320 and the British Airways probably livery. So we tap OK, and it saves the livery, and then we select the mode in which we want to fly. So we can fly single player or multiplayer. And in single player, we can fly free flight, missions, or flight training. Obviously, the ATC option is not available because we would need to be in connection with other players in order to be controlling them. So that's why it's an only multiplayer option. Now, if we go to multiplayer, we can select for each of those options either the casual server, the training server, or the expert server. So say casual server, we can fly free flight or missions. Training server, we can fly free flight, missions, and ATC. And expert server, we can fly free flight, missions, and no ATC, but that is because I don't have the ranking yet required by Infinite Flight to be an expert air traffic controller. So that's the way they keep control of who are being air traffic controllers at their virtual world. And the flight training flight training mode is only available for single players because, well, it speaks for itself. You are training, so you're not able yet to fly with other people. So let's say today we want to fly multiplayer in free flight and in the training server. So we would tap that, say free flight, and since we are flying in the training server and in multiplayer, we will be using real weather, and Infinite Flight updates that weather in real time. So we will be having the real weather of the real world, and that includes winds, unfortunately not clouds, but temperatures, the altimeter setting, even the net tracks, which are high-speed tracks for crossing the Atlantic, and these are also updated in real time. So if a real aircraft is flying a net track W and you want to fly it in the simulator, you can do it, and it'll simulate those high-speed winds, which is a very cool aspect. I even once was flying from Singapore to Newark. It was the same flight you saw a couple of minutes ago, if you're still watching. And I saw in the real weather map that the winds were like 100 knots. And I looked at my simulator and the winds were 100 knots. So it was actually using real weather data. So this is like all you can customize for your flight. So now let's fly. So I'm gonna tap fly. And it'll show you cool tips while it loads. And in the meantime, it's going to show you a beautiful picture of a Lufthansa A321 with some cranes in the background. Let's wait for it to load. You can skip this part of the video, of course. And in this case, it's showing the monitor your airspeed when descending. Do not exceed 250 knots below 10,000. Yep. You will actually be issued a violation if you exceed the speed limits. So if you exceed 260 knots, because it has a small margin, you will be issued a violation. And Infinite Flight has an internal way of controlling violations. So if you have more of 5 violations in a 90-day period, then you lose your ranking, or I don't really remember how it works, but it's designed in a way that if you are a very violent pilot in terms of you want to fly aggressively, then you can fly with other people who want to fly in a very realistic way. Okay, so it has loaded. Tap the screen to start. It'll automatically calibrate, and let me real quick lower the volume of the aircraft here in audio so that you can hear me. There we go. And this is the interface. We have a lot of cameras, a lot of options. So I'm gonna start from the left part. You can control on the left part.
Fort X-ray Echo Kilo India. Request permission to cross runway 9 right.
Okay, let me get that audio all the way down as well. There we go. So in the left part, we have all the power setting, gear, spoilers, trim, flaps, and parking brakes. Now this works pretty straightforward. You can select all the flap settings, spoilers, either flight or armed. One important aspect is that this changes for every aircraft. So if you're flying a Cessna, which doesn't have spoilers, you won't have a spoilers option. If you are flying an Airbus which uses flaps 1, 2, 3 and full settings, or at least the A320, then you will have those settings right here. But if you're flying a Boeing 747, for example, which has the 5, 10, 15, 20 and so on settings, then the way it calls the flap is going to be different. Then we have the little mini-map right here, which you can zoom out, zoom in, and it can be very useful for taxiing because it has the actual model of the airport that is being used in your simulator. So it's not a picture of the airport in real life that will have some discrepancies with what you see on the simulator. It's exactly what you see on your aircraft windows, and you can tap the gates and see if the gate fits your airliner category. So for example, Terminal 2A Remote Gate 211 is for an aircraft type F, and well, obviously this aircraft fits there. Now moving on, we have in the lower part the ATC section, where we can tune different frequencies, contact them, and then in the map, in this little world map icon, we can select our flight plan. We do that by clicking on the airport and then tapping on the plus symbol that will add the airport to the flight plan. In this case, it is already added because it is the airport we are at. But by simply tapping on the airport, not on the plus symbol, we get to see the information, the controllers that are outlined, the actual contributors to the airport design, the weather, the runways, and here is where you will tune your ILS. So let's say you want to land at runway 27 right, so then you click set nav 1, and if nav 1 is green, then it means that the radios of the aircraft have been successfully tuned to that frequency. And then in the procedure section, we can select approach, arrival, or departures. Now these are not fully up to date. That is a bad part of Infinite Flight. You can't connect it to services like Navigraph to have updated procedures, but even though they are not fully up to date, they are fairly up to date. I mean, you won't be flying very, very old procedures. It's just that they are not up to date. I mean, to today. But you can select procedures, and once you enter the procedure section, it'll also show them on the page, so that if you don't remember the name of a procedure, but you know you're going north, for example, you can simply look at the map and see which procedure will help you get to the north. And you select it. It also tells you which runways it serves, and then add to flight plan, and that's all. Then if you want to select another waypoint, let's say waypoint, what waypoint? I remember there's a waypoint in Colombia called Osusu. So you just search for it, and I can assure you that the simulator will find it. Here it is, Osusu, and it is all in the other part of the world in Colombia, and then you just tap it and add it to the flight plan. In this case, will it let me add it? Yes, just fix Osusu and add to the flight plan. Now this is pretty far from Heathrow, but it's just to show you that this is the way you can add flight plans. Airways you can't add, unfortunately, but or hold on, maybe you can. Let's look at airway whiskey 13 and see if it finds the airway. No, it doesn't fly with airways, but that's fine because you can fly with waypoints. And in the settings page, you can filter the aviation marks that you want to see in the map, such as fixes, navigates, airspaces, taxiways, purchase, and uncontrolled airports. By clicking on this icon, you will center the map to your aircraft. You can zoom and also select if you want your map or your flight plan, or only your map, or map plus flight plan. But the only flight plan page is actually pretty cool because on the top part you get your current track, a bearing, cross track. This is like the lateral distance to the track that you should be following. like it's the distance to the track you should be at. Then the desired track, estimated time en route, distance, ground speed, and the next waypoint. Moving on, this in the lower part is called the flight. Hold on, I forgot the name. I'm sorry. The flight data configuration, and you can select a bunch of different stuff. Fuel flow. So starting from the left part, you can select G-forces, angle of attack, N1 or RPMs, which is like the speed of the engine, vertical speed of the aircraft, true heading, magnetic heading, altitude. AGL is above ground level, altitude MSL, that's mean sea level, above the sea level. Ground speed, which is the speed relative to the ground. Airspeed, which is the speed relative to the air. You can select the track offset, which was the XTK I was talking about before. The bearing, the estimated time en route to your destination, or the estimated time en route to your next waypoint. The distance to the destination or distance to the next waypoint, and the name of the next waypoint. Bearing 1 or bearing 2. Visibility, pressure, temperature, winds. Network type, server, connection status. Fuel dump. That is a cool thing, you can dump fuel. Fuel flow in kilograms per hour or in liters per hour if you change the units. The fuel used, fuel remaining, and the airplane load. This airplane load is a very cool thing because you can see a percentage. So you won't simply see a number that is telling you a random weight, but the percentage, so you know the airplane is half full or fully fueled. Then we have the time zone of the simulator, local time in the simulator, Zulu time in the simulator, local time real or Zulu time real. This is a great aspect. And the battery of the device you are currently flying, in this case my iPad is at 95%, the position of the yoke. So if you're not sure if you are turning left because you can't see outside and maybe you lost your instruments, but you want to look at the position of your yoke, then you just turn left the device and you can see the yoke is moving. And then we have the airplane location in coordinates, the camera location in coordinates, nearest airport, number of landings in the session, the current flight time, the distance and time to BNF, which is the vertical descent, and the autopilot status. In this case, of course, it is off. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 options to set your flight data from all of them. But maybe you want to use different configurations for each stage of the flight. Then in the system page, you can do 3 flight data configurations. And this is how we move to the right side. We have ground services, and these work in every airport in the world because it doesn't depend on the airplane, but on the simulator itself. So, for example, say in the X-plane simulator, if you're at an airport that is too small to have pushback, then you won't have pushback, even if the airport does have pushback in real life. But in infinite flight, since the pushback option comes with the aircraft but not with the airport, you will have it if you are flying an A320 in an airport that is not equipped in X-plane, but it will be equipped in infinite flight. I'm not comparing, both are very good simulators, but this is a better aspect of infinite flight. You can also, here we just changed the camera. Look at this beautiful Airbus A320 from British Airways. You can also select the pushback option here. Systems, we have miscellaneous, including auto start, which is basically if you really don't know how to start an aircraft, so you just tap auto start and it will start it automatically. The auto brakes option, interface, the electrical aspect, the APU, which stands for auxiliary power unit, lights, navigation, strobe, landing lights, and beacon lights. The navigation lights are the red and white lights that indicate the direction of the aircraft. Strobe lights are bright, intermittent white lights that are used when anytime you really want people to know that you are there. So they are not used on the ground because they are too bright, but they are used whenever the aircraft is on an active runway or flying. Landing lights, which are used to see outside These are used for landing and takeoff, and since they are very, very powerful, they are only turned on when pilots really need to see outside in the night. And the beacon light is a red light on the top and on the bottom of the aircraft that is used on the ground and in the air to indicate that the engines are running or that the airplane is moving. It is also called the anti-collision light or the warning light, because it's basically telling, hey, here's an aircraft that is either moving or with its engines running, so you gotta be careful with it. Then you have passengers options, so turn on the seatbelt sign or the no smoking sign and start or shut down the engines. In the nav section, you can set the frequencies, the courses, the source, GPS, nav1 or nav2, bearings, the range of the map. And in the autopilot section, we have these options for the autopilot. Next, we have cameras. We have a lot of different camera options: cockpit camera, outside camera, inside camera, including the wings, which is a very cool view, and one of my favorite camera options, the scenic mode. Now, if you have seen real Boeing footage or Airbus footage of the new aircraft, they will be flying sort of drones around the airplanes, and this infinite flight camera option will simulate that, and we get this beautiful movement of the camera all around the simulator, which is very cool. And we have a free view in which you can navigate all over the infinite flight world, and the tower view, which will let you see how controllers see the aircraft from the tower. Then we have the menu where we can select the weather, the time, weight and balance, and this is very cool because we can see if the aircraft is above maximum takeoff weight or maximum landing weight as we do the weight changes. Say, if I set the aircraft to fully full, it's going to say that I'm above the maximum takeoff weight. It is also going to give me an estimated flight time, which is very cool if I want to calculate more or less how long I will be able to fly with the current fuel setting, and we can change the units from kilograms to pounds. Also, if you want a more simple aspect, we can select heavy, normal, or light configuration. So basically, if you are somebody who's just starting into the aviation world, then you will just tap normal. But if you are an expert person, then you can manually select the exact setting for each of the cargo and weight aspects. This is what I like about Infinite Flight. It is flexible for expert simulator pilots and for I'm only having fun pilots. This is so cool. Then we can calibrate again, also access the settings page from inside the flight, and that's all. These are the rudder, the controls, and one cool aspect is that you can brake with you have two options to brake. One of them is by using the parking brake, which is like fully going hard on the pedal. But the other option is by doing gradual braking, which is by sliding your finger in the rudder down. So by doing that, as you can see, let me go to the cockpit. There you go. Hold on. It's not working. It's maybe because the aircraft shut down. But if I turn it on auto start, maybe it's because the aircraft's not moving. But the point is that if you press the rudder and then you move it down, it'll gradually brake and it'll show you the percentage of braking. So if you just want to brake slightly, you don't want to slam on the brakes, then use this braking option. And this is more or less it. It has a lot of other different features, but it'll be a too long video. We also have this little tick on the top right part showing the system status, weather, global server, API service. I don't know what API is, and the live server status. So in this case, we're connected to all of them. So let's exit the simulator here and confirm, and it'll show you the rating. So flight time, total landings, violations, points earned, and my current grade. I'm grade 2. I want to get to grade 3. Then we can tap OK, and it returns us to the home page. And this is basically it, guys. This is Infinite Flight. For each aircraft that you fly, you're going to see a lot of different options. You can't move the switches in the cockpit. That was one thing I forgot to mention. But you can control the systems. And by not being able to move individually switches in the cockpit, that lowers a lot the kind of processor that the device needs to run Infinite Flight. So that is actually helping it to keep it being a mobile app, because Infinite Flight will, at least I think, it will never be a desktop product. Their focus market is the mobile devices. Well, this is all I had to show you. I hope you enjoy Infinite Flight. Hope you enjoyed my channel. Like it and subscribe it if you want to. And this is all. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.